Hello everyone, and thank you ever so much for participating in the Moccasin Making Workshop. On behalf of the early years team, we'd like to thank Natalie ever so much for facilitating this workshop. So it is our honor to have her here pass on this knowledge to the rest of our community members. So thank you ever so much, Natalie. And Natalie's going to explain what you will be receiving in your kit. So without further ado, let's learn how to make the moccasins.
Morning everyone, I'm Natalie and we were going to be doing moccasin workshops today. Here for you I have a sample of a pair of moccasins that I've drawn. So when I draw my when I draw my moccasins, I try to overlap so there's less wasting. Down here I have an extra piece which I will use for my lacing.
So Natalie, I have a question for you.
Yep.
When you say overlap, what do you mean by overlap?
So when you're taking your pattern to trace your pattern, when you're ready to put your next one, you can put your pieces touching. So you can touch your creases, you can touch your corners, as long as it's not overlapping too much like that. So you can touch your edging.
Okay, great, thank you.
So each of my pieces here, you can see everything touches for minimal, very minimal waste. So that's my sample, and I guess let's begin. So in your kit, you will receive an insole, your fringe, your sole, and your vamp, as well as a piece of sinew and a piece of cording, and a glover needle, size 3 or 5.
Natalie, why do you choose a size 3 or 5 glover needle?
5 is a little bit thicker, so which makes the hole a little bit bigger, easier to work with. For me, I prefer a size 3. It's a little bit smaller, and I kind of like it. It's not as thick as the 5. So preferably, because I have a small hand, I like the smaller needle. For someone else with a thicker hand and not being able to see the hole as well, you would use a 5.
Thank you, Natalie.
No problem. All right, so let's get started here. You want to pass me that piece of sinew? I cut a piece already, previously cut. So when you get your sinew, the sinew is pretty thick. So you can choose to either sew with the full sinew, or if you go closer to the middle, you can split your sinew. For me, I like my sinew split. So I'm just gonna split it here. And then I will use the thicker piece of sinew to start sewing my mock. All right, so you see it was a little bit thick to go through that hole. I kind of spliced it. So what we're gonna do, around this piece, you should have 26 holes. So like around here to here, and from here to here, you should have 26. If you don't have 26, you've got a problem. So your numbers will not match up. So what I do when I'm starting my pieces, depending on what side of the leather you want to use, you can use the suede side, or you can use the leather side. It's your preference. What we're gonna do, so then we're gonna lay it this way. We're gonna match our hole to the little line we have here. Through my hole again. Up through my other side. Good. There you go. Tie my knots.
So Natalie, on average, how long does it take to complete one moccasin from beginning to end, if it's all cut out, on average for you?
For myself, on this style, probably about 45 minutes, if everything is all cut out.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right. So now I'm gonna go back through my hole, down through my other one, and back out again. So now what we're gonna do is follow each hole. So you're gonna go through one hole, find the next hole, and go through. Pull your sinew. You can pull it tight, you can pull it, try to give a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? not too tight, but not too loose either. You don't want your moccasin to fall apart on you. So give it a tug. There's the word. And then we're just gonna follow it right around. And as we start going further up, you will notice that your vamp will start buckling. That's your puckers, so that's okay. Let it pucker. For me, I use my hand to kind of guide it, and then I actually make my own little puckers. Here we go, a little tug.
So Natalie, I have a question for you. I was wondering, what kind of leather is this?
This leather that I'm working with here is buffalo. I'm using this one because it's going to be an in-house slipper. So it's a little bit better for pounding the pavement. And then we're going to put an insole in it so you have a little bit of cushion for your foot. Whereas the first one that I showed you guys, this one here, is a piece of deer, which is a little bit thinner, you know, easier to play with than the buffalo. So this leather here is great for dancers who do powwows, for the regalias, for baby moccasins. This one is good for everyday outside wear. You can get a sole, a rubber sole put on it, and you can actually wear this one outside. You can wear both outside. But for the deer, I know they like to use like a piece of cow, a thick piece of cow, to put on the sole for what the dancers use. So there's different fabrics, different materials, different hides that you can play with when making a moccasin. For myself, preference-wise, doing baby mocks, I prefer the deer just because it's lighter, it's easier for the babies because you don't want something too thick. But for this everyday pounding pavement, stomping ground, you want something that's gonna work with your feet. So that's why we went with buffalo. So as you see, we're working our way around. So this is Moccasin 101 for people who have no clue or have never put together a moccasin. This is the easiest foot, the easiest style of moccasin to put together. Hole punched, you know, good to go, easy to work with. And it's not hard on the hands as well.
So Natalie, I was just wondering, how do you take care of your mocks? Like, how do you clean them? How do you take care of them in overall?
You can get like a leather spray or a polish, like they have it in a little bottle where you can actually just polish it up to whatever you need. So for me, preferably, I prefer the spray, but it's, again, preference choices. You can use the cream or you can use the spray. For me, what I do with mine, if I make a mistake or something gets on it, I just use Dawn. Dawn and water, soap and water. Try not to rub, like when you're gonna go rub out your mistake, don't rub out your mistake, but just gently, just kind of wipe it out. They also have, if you have a boo-boo or something spilt on it, they have a leather eraser, kind of like a magic eraser. So, yeah.
And where would you buy these things?
Tandy leather.
Tandy leather.
Tandy leather, that's where I got mine from.
Thank you.
No problem. So we are rounding the other side now. Be careful with the needles. This needle has 3 points on it, and it is very sharp. It will go through your skin, it will go through your nails. So be careful. All right, last hole. So for this last hole, you're gonna go through it. And then once again, we're gonna go through that hole again to tack down your work, secure it. So for the more advanced moccasin makers, or for those who wanna be, you know, try something new, If you don't want just this, you can take your stitch, go back through your holes, and double it if you'd like. So I'm gonna go like this. And this is how I make my knot. So this thread right here, I'm going to go through it and make a slip knot. And there you go. So because the sinew is waxed, it'll hold it in place, and then afterwards I'll just take a lighter and I will light that piece off. All right, and there you have the top of your moccasin.
That looks lovely, Natalie.
Thank you. All right, so now you're gonna need the sinew one more time, and that's to do this back part here. So what we're going to do, we're gonna make an X. So you decide which way you want your piece to sit. So I'm gonna go this side out. So now you're gonna follow through your holes, and you're gonna go through the 3 holes that match each other. So 1, and I can't find it, 2, leave a little tail so we can tie our knots, and then 3. And what we're gonna do here is make an X. So we went through this hole here, we're gonna go diagonally on this angle, go through your 3 holes, and pull. Then we're gonna go across the opposite side. Once again, through your 3 holes. Down through the opposite hole. Ouch. And 2 and 3. Then I'm going to turn my mock inside out. And I'm just going to tie it off here. While pulling it tight, giving it a little bit of tightness, but not too tight. If you'd like, you can go back through it a second time, just so it's a little bit thicker. But then I'm just going to go tie my knot. And there's your 1X. So again, we're gonna go from the inside. It'll be a little bit harder because we've already made our first. We're gonna go through the first hole, then the next hole, your second piece of fabric, and then your 3rd hole, leaving a little tail for your knot. Then we're gonna go on the diagonal through your first hole again, your second layer, your second hole, and then your 3rd hole. Then we're gonna give it a little lee. We're gonna go across to the other hole. You're gonna go through, back through your same holes, 3 holes, and then your last hole. Oops. And then we're gonna go on your last diagonal here, first hole, second, and your 3rd. And then again, we're gonna check our X's, and we're gonna pull our top string, our bottom string, make it a little bit snug, and we're gonna tie our knots. And then once again here, I'll cut, and I would light it. And that's all you need the sinew for, and here's our X's in the back of our mocks.
Oh, that looks amazing.
So now what we need is our fringe. This is our fringe piece. How about it backwards? And then our lacing. I'm gonna cut my edges.
And why do you do this, Natalie?
I do this so I can lace it through my holes. It makes it easier, kind of like a shoelace. How the shoelace has the little plastic.
Oh, yes.
So this is just my way of doing that. Easier for me to go through. That one. And that one. All right, so we're gonna start from up here through the middle hole. And you're gonna leave a little tail, so that's gonna be for your tie. And then what we're gonna do is start working our way around the vamp onto the fringe. We're gonna go through the next hole. So when you're making this, you're going to see your suede side out, and then going around, you're going to see the leather side out. So you don't have to twist and turn and make sure the leather side is on the inside and the outside. Leather's on the outside, suede's on the inside. So here's where we get to have the fun part. So we're gonna work our way through 3 holes. So we have this hole here, and then this hole here. So what we're gonna do is we're folding it over. So it's gonna look like this. So you're gonna go through your first hole, and we're gonna pull. Making sure my leather side is out. And then we're gonna go through this hole from inside out.
Why are we choosing the inside, Natalie? Going through the inside?
Because we're working our way, so we're weaving. So you're gonna weave from this way. So you're gonna go inside, work your way out. From outside, you're gonna work your way back in. So
Okay.
we're doing like a weave basket kind of style.
Okay.
Okay, so that's hole number 2. And then I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna go through this one here. So, and then you can give it a little bit of a tug. Turn your leather around. So you can choose which way you want it. So you can either have the leather side out once again, or you can have the suede side out. So what we did was we did leather side out on our mock. And for our fringe, we're doing the suede side. So choices are yours. Possibilities are endless. Play with your mock, have fun with your mock. So now we're gonna work our way back through. So we're gonna start at the bottom hole, which is our very last hole. And then before I go through the rest, I'm gonna make sure my lacing is straight. So I have my leather side out. Then we're gonna go through the middle hole here. And then again outside your last hole here. Make sure it's straight. And back through my middle hole.
Now, I've heard the first pair of moccasins that you ever make, I've heard that you should give them away. Is this true?
That's what I've been told. It's not even just your first moccasin, it's your first anything.
Okay.
So they say you should give away your first whatever, whether it's a dream catcher or anything like that. I've heard that as well too. But you know what? Everything that I've made, I've always given away. I don't own anything that I've ever made. But you know what? It's okay, because I love when I go to a powwow, I get to see the work that I've done. It's like, oh, I love it. That gives me enough joy. I don't have to wear it. I have my friends to showcase for me. All right, and back through here. Oh, guess what? I missed a hole. So I need to take it out. So that's what you do not want to do, is miss a hole. It'll throw off your count, it'll throw off your numbers. By the time you get to the end, you'll have extra holes. So I'm just going to turn it around, make sure my leather is facing outwards, and continue on. Once again, fixing before I go through. All my crafts get donated or given away, or gifted is the right term, to my loved ones and someone close to me. Someone taught me, and now I'm giving back. This is my way of giving back. All right, so we are getting closer. Let's see. So we have one more hole. So after this hole is where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so for now we're getting a little bit complicated. So when you get to your last 4 holes, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go through your first hole again. And instead of going through 3 holes, now we're going through 4 holes. All right, so I'm gonna turn that, and then we're gonna go through our next hole here. And all of a sudden now it doesn't want to go through anymore. It's like, I've done enough. Then we're gonna go through our next hole here. I don't know if you can see the hole. So that's 3. A little tug, and then we're gonna go through our last one here. So you're gonna do that for the next 3 holes. So in total you have 4 holes that have 4 layers. And then you'll go back to 3 layers again. Give it a little tug. Make sure my other side is out. All right, so first hole, second one. Yeah, I think I need to snip my tip a little bit. Kind of like the needle, you know how the needle gets dull?
Yeah.
You gotta change your needle? Yeah, my tip got dull. There we go. Third hole. And 4th. Okay, so here you want to give it a little bit of a tug, so you make sure it goes. There we go.
This is looking great, Natalie.
Thank you. The owner of these are gonna enjoy them.
Yes, very much so.
All right. Oh. For me, I usually go through all 4 at the same time.
Is it very hard to use the rubber piece and then sew it on? Is that hard?
I've never actually done it. So what I tell people, if you want rubber on yours, I just say take it to somebody who works with shoes. They can put a sole on for you. Go to a shoe person who knows what they're doing. But if you want to do it yourself, you can use a pattern like that, cut it out, and then you get this thing called shoe goo. Then it's a glue just for shoes, and you can glue it down yourself and make your own. That's what the dancers do.
Oh, I see.
That's what they do, but they don't use. I haven't seen rubber soles on theirs. I see a lot of like the cow, the thick cow, yeah, on the base of theirs. All right, we're down to the last 2. So we've now come to the end of our last hole. what we're gonna do, the same thing we did over here. We're gonna go through our top hole and then back inside the last hole. And there you have it. So you can keep your string long, you can keep it short. If you want them to be longer and you want it to match, you can go back through and just pull your fringes. For me, I'm just gonna cut it. And then we're just gonna tie a little knot here. Or you can tie a bow, whatever's your preference. If you wanna get fancy with it, you can put some beads at the bottom. But there you go, there's your mock. Then you're just gonna take your little sole, your insole, and you're gonna pop it in there. There you go.
Natalie, that looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
So I'm gonna pop this out. So now, the last piece you have to do is your fringe. So all you gotta do, take your scissors and cut.
And how do you know how far?
I just eyeball it. I just eyeball it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want to be perfect, you can grab a ruler, measure your fringe, and work your way around. But for me, I just eyeball it.
And you could do it as thick or as thin as you like.
One of my X's came loose. I think I cut my knot out.
Oh.
This is why we light it.
Oh.
Because once it's lit, you're not gonna have any problems with it. It's okay, I can restitch it. And there you have it.
So Natalie, this looks absolutely wonderful. This is honestly a work of art. And I'm just wondering, is there anything you want to say to the participants that maybe some tricks or tips on how to actually just make this just right?
All right, so my closing tips would be, don't forget to burn off your little pieces, your sinew, using a lighter to burn off your edges for the back as well as the front. Don't forget to double loop, secure your first and last stitch while going around your front, and have fun with it. Enjoy it. At the end of the day, you're either gonna wear it or you're going to give it to someone you love. So someone will be wearing these moccasins. So just love what you do. Enjoy what you do. Each product is unique and individual to the person making it, so put your heart and soul into it. There you go, there's mine.
Natalie, thank you so much for passing on this beautiful knowledge. And remember, to all of you that are watching, if once you know all of this information, please pass it on to your loved ones, teach your children, teach your sisters and your aunties, anyone that is very interested. Thank you ever so much for watching, and we will stay in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye. Sharing is caring.